With me right now, Professor Bola Akinterenwa, Director General, Bolitech Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies. Professor David Awurawa, Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies at the University of Lagos. Professor Akinterenwa, Professor Awurawa, good to see you. Well, today is a bit unusual, just the two of you, as analysts on the program, but that's fine. Well, we've done about 5 topics so far. I would like to just have your take, but let's start with ASUU. And Dr. Dele Ashiru saying, government is not serious. ASUU has the right to ask for more pay and other issues, other demands. Let me start with you, Professor Akinterenwa.
Thank you for this type of question. And I can tell you without any iota of gainsaying that I like the questions you posed to our guests. Now, in terms of ASUU strike, I think that Ashiru did a very fantastic job by translating a Yoruba proverbial saying into academic analysis. I think my understanding of Ashiru's point is to say that Adamu, the Minister of Education, is another Oshika. Oshika simply means in Yoruba somebody who is engaged in a devilish attitude. The Yoruba proverbial saying is that Ebe ni wọ́n bẹ̀ òṣìkà kí ó tún ìlú ẹ̀ ṣe. In other words, you need to beg an Oshika, person who is not patriotic, people who are not altruistic, people who are not looking at the implications of their policies. That's an Oshika. Now, Oshika, simply translated into English, simply means wicked. So, if an Ashiru is now answering the question that the students have been asked by our Minister of Education to take teachers to court, and the ready replies that the National Union of Nigerian Students themselves, the students have responded that no, we can go to court, but we aren't going to take lecturers to court, but it is the same government. So in this case, who is to be begged? Who are we begging? When Reuben Abati now raised this issue, what is the opinion of an Ashiru on this? Ashiru said, and rightly too, logically as a scholar, he did say we should be begging the government. They should not be begging the lecturers alone. I find that one so touching that, okay, look, let us beg the wicked people to stop the act of wickedness. Why? 3 reasons. The first reason is that why should a government that is believed to be reliable, believed to be responsible, wait for 6 months before coming out to make a statement to say no work, no pay? Why has it taken so long a time to make their point? Secondly, is ASUU, are the lecturers asking for payment for a job not done? No. An agreement was done far back as a 2007, 2009, raising the issue of unpaid entitlements, emoluments. And the university lecturers are saying, Mr. Government, Messrs. Ministers, the principle of sanctity of agreement, which for us in the international domain, pacta sunt servanda, when on the basis of collective bargaining, you voluntarily agreed to an agreement. You not only initial, but you sign. You appended to your signature, meaning voluntary consent to abide by the obligations created. And you are not doing that. Now the lecturers are saying, please be civilized by accepting, to comply, to implement an agreement you did. I am not unaware of a principle in law, particularly in international law, the principle of deterrent, that if you induce me into error in signing an agreement that I wouldn't have signed under normal circumstances, that is, if I had known the implications. I'm not unaware of that one. But is the government claiming not to know, for instance, that in this case, you did not know what is signed? You send people that were given power to go and negotiate on your behalf. What type of government are we having? And then you take a whole group of lecturers, Nigerian lecturers that are performing very well, impeccably abroad, internationally. Then because you are Minister of Education, then you now come into the open and be bastardizing them. No, I think it is not acceptable. I think a lesson, one point raised by ASUU, that we must not allow to be thrown into the dustbin of history, is the question that he has raised, or observation that he made, according to which the current students are not even interested in lecturing. They do not want to come to the academic setting, obviously because of the way lecturers are being treated. So when we have students that are not interested in the academia in the future, then how do you preserve, the transfer of knowledge from the ivory tower in the future? So people must not be myopic. So when I see, for instance, we look at Frank Tietie saying, looking at the lecturers, ASUU, talking about essential services, etc. Well, probably we need a Frank Tietie to exist, to use law to confuse people, to use law to bring about setbacks. Benabati did very well by saying, well, that is one side, that is one school of thought, that's one position, that we have other positions. The bitter truth is simply that, look, laws that are unjust, laws that, are anti-people, I don't know how you can now come into court and be arguing that such laws should be executed. And I end on this particular note by asking just one question on this. The government of Nigeria, right from 1994, I've had the opportunity to raise this issue. If a federal government can collect money from the public, ask the public to make deposits for houses that will be built and delivered, allocated in December 1994. The advert collection of deposit was done in April 1994. In 2022, as at this time I'm talking, the federal government has neither allocated any house nor even thought of refunding. So government in itself in Nigeria is very fraudulent. So if a Frank Tietie is now coming to say one law, essential services, etc., why should I die because of Nigeria? Why is the government not prepared? I applied, for instance. My money is there. So in this case, they should not push Nigeria into the extent of deciding. If in the context of people going on strike, why shouldn't they go on strike? Why shouldn't ASUU go on strike? When we have a government that have ears, but whose eardrums we never listen. So this is the problem.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor Akinterwa. Professor Awurawo, I'm sure you have not had earned a salary in the past 6 months. Maybe you will tell us how you guys are coping and why ASUU is not ready to suspend the strike. Professor Awurawo, yes, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Abati. The minister spoke extensively that day and touched on so many issues. I'm really surprised about the position he took, because the minister is supposed to be a mediator at this point. But the position he took is just totally against the principles of mediation. He first took, his fellow minister and attacked him that was never given 2 weeks. The minister that said that lied, and then went into so many other issues, even raised fresh issues by saying students should take, ASUU to court. It's really surprising that somebody supposed to be mediating took the positions he took. But let me just highlight a couple of things regarding how to resolve this, logjam. First, the position that, ASUU members have not, teachers, university lecturers who are on strike, have not worked for 6 months and they should not be paid, is simply not right. It arises from ignorance of, not knowing well how the assignment, the job of the lecturer is. The lecturer has 3 duties, 3 main assignments that he performs. The lecturer teaches, the lecturer conducts research, and the lecturer does community service. So when the lecturer is not teaching, he's doing research, he's doing community service. For instance, during this strike, I've edited our journal, which is used internationally. We cannot say because we're on strike, and our journal is subscribed to in Oxford, in Cambridge, everywhere, will not be published. During this strike, I'm editing a book. I'm almost done with it, a book on Nigeria's security. And during this strike, we have signed documents for those who have gone on NYC. We cannot say because we're on strike, our students who have already graduated who want to go to NYC will not, sign their documents for them. My vice chancellor has gone to Germany to sign MOUs for the benefit of the university and the country. So it is just one segment of our assignment that is not ongoing, which we are going to compensate for anyway, because we know when the school resumes, the next 3, 4, 5 years, there will not be, break, there will not be leave. So the minister spoke out of ignorance by saying that, no work, no pay. That phrase, no work, does not apply to academic staff, because when he's not teaching, his other assignments are ongoing. And then, because I'm an ASUU member, I try to put myself in the position of government. That, okay, maybe let's look from the point of view of government. That I can't really see, any rationale for all the things the government has done in attempt to resolve this issue. Take, for instance, when the strike started. It took 2 months and more before the government even started doing anything, to resolve the strike. The Minister of Labour said, well, he was not aware that ASUU members were on strike. Meanwhile, he had directed that the salary of ASUU members be stopped. So, moving forward, we have to find a solution. I want to appeal to the Minister of Education, and by extension, appeal to, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, who understands the academia probably better, and Professor Ibrahim Gambari, who started this last leg of negotiations. They should please meet the President and let him know that that phrase, no work, does not apply to academic staff. So if they want to say no work, no pay, it's not to academic staff you apply that to, because when he's not teaching, he's doing research and he's carrying out community service, so that we can move forward. And on the salary increase and all that, what they have offered is miserly, is infinitesimal compared to what the 2 committees they have set up, the last one being that of Nimi Briggs, recommended. We heard that they want to add maybe 50,000, 60,000 to our salary. When the committee, when you break down the 109 to 180%, is about 600 to 800,000. Because where we are, there is no country in the world that is paying the kind of slave wage that we are paid. So any meaningful increment should be within that 109 and 180%. They should look within that range and then pay, our salaries that have been with them. We have worked all throughout the period. That phrase, no work, does not apply to academic staff. So we can end this strike and move ahead. If they insist, the universities might as well shut down for a year or two, because I don't know of any academic staff who will return to work when he has actually, who would go back to teaching, when he has actually worked and he has not been paid for the work he has done. So they should understand this very clearly so that we can move forward. Our students have suffered much. We have suffered much. The system itself has suffered much. Of course, all of these things revolve around agreements. People speak of 2009. We also had an agreement in 2020 with this particular government, so that even if they're saying that was 2009, it was not this government that signed it, there's an agreement with this government in 2020, which they have also failed to implement. This week should be a week where critical things will take place. All the names I've mentioned, Professor Gambari, Professor Oyemi Oshibajo, the minister himself, they should come to terms with the reality, sort out these issues so we can move on. Let me comment on one or two other things of those who have spoken. I want to speak on Chief Chukwu's comments regarding the economy. We all know what needs to be done for this economy to begin to pick up. We know that the subsidy regime is unsustainable. The government needs to take action. Either you reduce it by a quarter, reduce it by half for now, have some money to do other things, such as the aviation thing we've talked about. We cannot have a country where all foreign airlines will not fly into the country. It just doesn't make sense. So the government needs to take, decisive action now to ensure that the economy is. I agree with him that yes, the more oil needs to be pumped out, and the issue of oil theft needs to be addressed. I also agree with him that the subsidy needs to be revisited so that monies can be available to do other things, and so that the economy can begin to pick up, and everybody will be fine. And finally, Tie, his position is very funny. It is true. I agree with him that essential services should not be disrupted. So strike should not be carried out in those areas. But what are the options if the workers have genuine grievances and the government refuses to listen? So it cannot just be one-sided. The two sides must be brought into the fray. So to cancel out what he has said, the government would then, since they need essential services, they need to pay attention. When these workers present their grievances, they should listen to them. After all, they did something when the light went off. The Minister of Labor did something, made promises, and then they restored power. Why didn't they do it at the time the workers presented their grievances? So it is not the workers who blame actually, but government that consistently carries out as if important things are not important. So that we can move this country forward, everybody will be happy. And, the dreams, the labor of our heroes, past, as they say, will not be in vain.
Okay, great privilege to have both of you professors of international relations. Let me take advantage of that and quickly take one international subject as we go straight to Kenya. Minutes after Kenya's president-elect William Ruto said that his coalition will get on and plan for government. The coalition of Raila Odinga maintained its challenge to the presidential election results. Mr. Odinga is currently exploring the legal options, and his running mate Martha Karua remains defiant. According to her, and I quote, on the matter of the election, as his victory deferred, but is coming home, she told journalists after Azimio La Umoja coalition met. Well, let me come to you first, Professor Awurawo. What do you think is likely to happen in Kenya?
Well, what I think will likely happen is that Raila Odinga will lose in the courts and the victory of William Ruto will be affirmed. All the information we have got in the course of the week indicates that there were efforts on the side of Odinga, maybe not himself directly, to influence the Electoral Commission. And the chairman of the commission stood his ground, insisted on doing what is right, and went ahead and announced the results. We have seen the processes, they went through, both in leveraging on technology to ensure that the elections were free and fair, to even do something like forensic audits of individual voters before the results were announced, which was why it took a long time for the results to be announced. So the comment victory deferred, I think, is an illusion. From all we have gathered so far, he will go to court, which he has the right to do. As he's going to court, he should also appeal to his supporters to keep the peace. He's only a living person that enjoys the benefits of democracy, not a dead person. He should appeal to them to maintain their calm. He has the right to go to court, but if you ask me, he will lose in court, and William Ruto will become will be sworn as president of Kenya in the next couple of weeks.
Well, Professor Akinterewa, your take on this subject, particularly as it's been speculated that Uhuru Kenyatta, the incumbent president, may have a hidden hand in all of this, since he didn't support his deputy, and he openly supported Raila Odinga of the ODM and the ASUU. Would that be a factor in this, or the view expressed by Professor Awurawa would come to pass?
Well, as much as I agree with Professor Awurawa's submission, I will simply say that, look, if God be with you, who can be against you? The answer is simple, no one. The winner, Ruto, I think it was as far back as 1999, when he tried to launch his parliamentary career by seeking to contest and go to the National Assembly. The then president, by that time, Arap Moi, made life difficult for him. He was described as an indisciplined son of a pauper. All those comments were simply to deter him from contesting. At the end of the day, he contested and he won. And he has always been there. God was with him. Nobody can challenge the word of God. Now this time, we do have Kenyatta. He didn't support, Ruto. Most unfortunately, Kenyatta and Ruto, were accused, were given a warrant of arrest to come. They were charged by the International Criminal Court for the loss of more than 1,000 people during the election at a point in time. Ruto stood like a rock of Gibraltar behind Kenyatta. But we now have the same Kenyatta now not compensating loyalty, fidelity, commitment, nationalism, patriotism. He closed his eyes to that. Now, God again, in his infinite mercy, decided to remain with Ruto. And he won. Please, according to the electoral law, whenever you have more than 50%, you should be declared winner. And he won with reportedly 50.49% of the votes. And like Professor Awurawa rightly pointed out, look, efforts were made to influence and change all those things. The electoral body, the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission, insisted that, look, they will stand by what is right. And in this case, there's no room for a second round. So which means, like my brother Ura was said, he is certainly going to lose in the court. There's no way, because it's so straightforward. International reports, all those international observers have said that for, in an unprecedented manner, it was calm, environment was peaceful, and there was no evidence of any rigging. So in the absence of that, why should anybody, it's most painful for Odinga. Well, for 5 times he has been contesting, but unfortunately he couldn't win. If God is not with you that you will win, why should you expect to win? So there is godliness in all these things we are doing. And I think that all we need to do here is to beg God so that God can be with us in Nigeria the way God is with them in Kenya, in such a way that Nigeria will not fall apart with the way we are doing things. Ruto, please, is normally referred to as the boy who is always having the highest marks when he was in school. No, he hasn't. He's a born-again Christian. God is with him. And let me tell you that at the end of the day, he's always nicknamed the boy with the highest marks. The implication of that one is that as president, and the way people are dancing already in Kenya, they are expecting that he will continue to score highest marks for his country. And I think we should learn a lesson from there. All those who are purporting or itching, like we were discussing the issue of a manual transmission of results in the context of Nigeria. No, you look at what is happening here. If in the context of Nigeria we do not have any intention to rig, please let our own INEC continue in the way Okoye has promised. And I think by so doing, it will be well with all of us.
Okay. Well said, but one clarification, Prof. The Independent Elections and Boundaries Commission in Kenya is divided. There is a group led by Chebukati of 3, and 2 of them were even attacked. And then there's the other group led by Juliana Cherera. Yes.
Unilaterally decided to go to the press because they are saying that the chairman of the committee
Chebukati
did not indicate the figures of people registered, votes that were not counted, to enable them to reconcile. In other words, what was the number, the registered number of voters? Who are those? What was the number of the people who actually cast their votes? And so on and so forth. That does not mean that the figures are not there. The mere fact that procedurally, probably they have not announced that, cannot be used as an impediment. The fact is there. But because an impartial, an electoral body meant to be impartial already is divided within itself. And the chairman now said, look, the truth is this is what obtained, and we should stick to it. So let's see what the court is going to say. Are they saying that they don't have the number of people who cast their votes? Are they going to say that they don't have the number of registered voters, and so on and so forth? So please, when people are not honest, they find unnecessary divisions. So the bitter truth is that he has won with 50.49% of the votes.
Okay, Prof. Thank you. Well, Professor Awurawa, let me come back to you quickly. I know you are a sports aficionado, and I was a bit surprised you didn't comment on Joshua versus Usyk and the outcome, considering the fact that you follow sports very closely. Professor Awurawa, any words of consolation for our brother Anthony Joshua?
Yes, you are right. I'm a sports enthusiast. It's really, really saddening that Joshua lost again. Lost again, and although he did a lot better this time. When you look at the figures you gave the other time, of different runs, very close, 13, 15, 15, 17. The figures were close of the point, but he still fell short. And the consensus is that Ulis, did better. He had better tactics. He was stronger, and that the victory is well deserved. We can only wish Joshua well. We can also only encourage him to not to give up. He has said he won't give up yet. He won't give up finally. He would continue to work hard. He would toe the line of Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, and other boxing greats that are African American and that are of African descent, for him to be able to come up again. So we can only wait. Of course, this is a longer route because just like Aaron said, he has to go through fighting losers before he will come up again to maybe challenging, the belt holder, the champion. So it's something that is really saddening, and of course, it's one of our own, and we had wished he would win this time to revive his boxing fortune.
Well,
but
thank you.
Where we are, the reality we are confronted with. So we can only wish him well and urge him to continue to work hard. Hopefully, he will be able to come back to that highest level he wants attained once again. If he remains committed, remains consistent, and remains focused.
Well, thank you very much, Professor David Awurawa. Thank you very much, Professor Bola Akintenewa. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the studio very soon. Both of you are too far away.
I will soon join you.
Thank you very much. You've been watching This Day Live, the Sunday talk show, here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati. For my entire team here in Lagos, it's bye for now, and thank you very much for watching.